what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Swanky Cab Productions channel. I'm Ben. I put a video out like this at least once a week, so if you enjoy what you see here today, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Today, on this beautiful, sort of blustery, I think 55-degree fall day, I'm headed into town on my Gen3 KLR 650 here. And I decided that since I've kind of changed my relationship with my motorcycles recently, that I should kind of update my feelings on them as far as commuter bikes. I've never really done much commuting, actual commuting on any of my motorcycles. They've pretty much been strictly for fun. Now, that's not to say I wouldn't ride them on the road. I would just only ride them on the road on sort of an adventure ride when I would take them to a trail, wherever that would be. Half an hour from the house or maybe an hour and a half from the house. And I think that's a little bit different than what I've been doing recently, and I think that's why it's worth an update. So I don't really have a whole lot of free time, hello turkeys, to just hop on the bike and go for a cruise after work anymore. If I want to get out and ride, I pretty much am stuck with getting on it and taking it to the store to pick up chicken feed or to pick up beer, which I guess I've always liked to do. What else have I done? A little bit of grocery shopping now and then, and I've been taking it into work quite often, partially because gas prices are so high. And I think this gets, what, must be better than 50 miles to the gallon. I guess maybe not how I ride it, but obviously that's a little bit easier on the pocketbook, and it's definitely a good excuse to get on the bike and get out and enjoy the fall colors. And that's exactly what we're doing today. So first off, I've got to say, on the 40 to like 55 mile an hour roads, I mean, this bike is a dream to ride. You don't really notice the vibrations at all. When we get onto the highway, I think the 360 camera might kind of dip down and we might lose visual on that one, because the vibrations definitely do pick up a bit. Now, I did own a Gen2 KLR 650 before this, and I mean, it's been a while since I've on that bike, but I have to say, I think the general vibiness of the bikes are pretty similar. I almost want to say that the seat vibrates a little bit more on this bike, and again, of course, that's much worse at highway speeds, but when you do hit the throttle, it does kind of pick up the vibrations a little bit. I would still say you could ride this around all day at 55 miles an hour and not get too buzzed. The highway, that's maybe a little different story, but we'll get there. As far as the power and acceleration, this is still a fun bike to ride. It's not nearly as much fun as, say, my Tenere 700. On the Tenere 700, all you have to do is kind of come to maybe a 20 mile an hour rolling speed and just punch the throttle, and oh wow, I think we maybe got a half-inch off the ground with that. This bike does not have that kind of power. If you want the front end off the ground, you got to work the clutch a bit. Ooh, just spun the back tire. Let's find some dry pavement to try that again. So possible, but definitely not quite as much fun or as easy as the T7. And that kind of translates all the way through the power band. I mean, this bike is definitely still an enjoyable machine to ride, but you definitely have to have the expectation that it's a KLR. It's a single cylinder, it makes 40 horsepower, and it weighs 460 pounds. So it's not going to be a sport bike, but again, with that expectation set properly, this bike can be a lot of fun. In the corners, you do often run out of gas. But hey, I mean, it's still a motorcycle. It beats riding around in a Sabre or a pickup. And I've got to say, it is definitely more fun, even just on these county roads, than the TW200. I've taken that out a few times, and that one, definitely leaves a lot to be desired in the corners, where this one, I don't know, I mean, it still feels like you're on a bike that has a little bit of power. As far as the wind protection goes, and it is a nice windy day, you guys may have already heard a bit of the wind noise. I do wear earplugs all the time when I ride this bike. The windscreen at my size anyways, 5'10", 31-inch inseam height, pretty much shoots the wind right at kind of my windshield on my helmet, and that's not exactly a great experience, especially with an open visor. But with a set of earplugs and a decent helmet, it's definitely survivable anyway. I have kind of been waiting actually for a while. I'm supposed to be getting sent some brackets to push the windscreen kind of up and away, and I think that should definitely make things a little bit better for me. Get on the highway and see how that goes. I suppose I probably should mention that I do have the D-Sport Adventure tires on here, which are not a tire that I would recommend for the highway at all. They definitely make the ride a little bit wild, even overinflated like they are. So definitely more than enough acceleration to get you up to highway speeds, and you're not going to feel like you're unable to keep up with traffic, but throwing it down into fourth gear and trying to pass a vehicle, again, it's a KLR, it's not a sport bike. 70 indicated on the GPS unit. The seat is buzzing. If I put my knees on the tank is buzzing. With the Tusk Chub bar on here and the bar and weights on the Bark Busters, I get just a little bit of vibration in the handlebars. It's not unnoticeable, but it's not annoying either. The foot pegs I've got on here are obviously not the factory pegs. I don't know if you can see that from the 660 camera or not, but they are a wider metal foot peg, and I've got the JNS lowering brackets on here, which gives you a little bit more cockpit room, but they're also a non-dampened foot peg brackets. They don't have rubber isolation, so when you stand up on them, or even when you're sitting on them, they don't feel like they're doing that, which is definitely the way to go. I don't really know that they added any vibration, honestly. I think with the rubber isolation in there, it almost seems like they could bounce around more. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I definitely prefer these. And as far as the brakes go on here, they're not great. I've definitely done some hardcore testing with them, and if you slam on both of them sort of equally, the back tire locks up super easy. Yeah, actually maybe have got the front tire to lock up a little bit with the D-Sports on here, which again, these are not a great tire for stopping on a dime, and obviously like you saw during the wheelie test, they don't really like to grab all that well on the pavement either. They hook up great off-road. On the road, rev limiter. So I've been on the bike for, I guess, maybe 20 minutes so far now, and the seat is almost starting to get a little bit uncomfortable. It's pillowy, it's soft, it's squishy, and it's not really nice to sit on for more than like a half an hour. I mean, you can do it for an hour or 2 hours. I've done it, but it will kind of start to pull on you, and I don't know, you just sink into it, and it's just not really as good as you think it would be when you initially sit down on it. I've got a C-Concept seat, a Gen3 700, and I absolutely love that. Definitely highly recommend one of those if you're somebody that's going to spend a long time on a seat. They are hard, they seem like they'd be uncomfortable, but honestly in the long run they definitely support you in the right places and feel super good. I have been considering getting one of those for this bike. Otherwise, the other general ergonomics of the bike, obviously, like I said, have changed a bit. Different bars on here, lowering brackets for the pegs. That all definitely helps, and I think is worth looking into, even if you're not a taller rider. Like I said, I'm 5'10", and it definitely feels good where everything is at now. The bars that I've got on here have a lot less sweep. I've got videos on that stuff if you guys want to see it. And of course, the other really nice thing about the KLR is if you're in town running some errands and you end up with a little bit of a downpour on the way back home, you've got all of this nice rain protection, being all the plastics and everything up front. I think a lot of people think that the KLR is just sort of dressed up like an adventure bike, and I guess in a sense, I mean, it is, but it's that way for a reason, because when you get stuck in the rain, you have a nice wind block and a nice rain block, and keeps your coat and your pants and everything just a tad drier, and definitely is nice just on long highway days too, to kind of keep the wind at bay. It does kind of make the bike a little bit of a parasail, and obviously just being an off-road bike, it's a little bit higher off the ground, so you do tend to get blown around a bit when it's a little windy and when you're passing trucks on the highway or when trucks are passing you. So you gotta kind of be mindful of that and kind of get used to it before you're riding in a lot of heavy traffic. But the nice thing about the KLR, as much as people give it crap for being a little hefty for an off-road bike and for being a 650 and for the amount of power it has, that 460 pounds definitely helps you feel a lot more solid on the pavement, especially at higher speeds. And if you guys have ever ridden smaller dirt bikes at higher speeds on the road, or really any speed on the road, they definitely don't feel very solid or planted, and they don't really feel like they belong there. The KLR definitely feels a lot more like it belongs here. As soon as you take that weight off-road, well, then it maybe feels a little bit less at home than those would. So if you guys have any of your own comments, or if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. I will try to get back to you if I can. Get out, enjoy your motorcycle whenever you can, no matter what it is. And stay safe, stay swanky. Check out some more videos if you can't get out and enjoy this beautiful world right now.